Good evening. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees of Central Unified School District. Tonight is February 11th, 2025. The time is 6 p.m. As we call the meeting to order, we are currently missing Trustee Kerfond. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? We have a motion by Trustee Sellers.
Second.
We have a second by Trustee Kirk. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Those abstaining, motion carries 7-0. And Trustee Kerfond joins us at 6 p.m. Now we open for any comments from the public on any closed session items.
President Singh, I have no comments at this time.
Thank you, Clerk Kerfond.
Board President, 30 seconds have passed and there are no callers at this time.
Thank you. And with that, we will adjourn to close and reconvene at 7 p.m. Thank you. Good evening, Central Unified Community. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Trustees. Today is February 11th, 2025. The time is now 7:05 p.m. as we reconvene in open session. Our reportable items are on item E1. We had a motion by Trustee Sellers, a second by Trustee Sidhu. Item passed 7-0. On item E2, we had a motion by Trustee Chavez, a second by Trustee Kirfan. That item passed 7-0. And now I ask Vice President Carrillo to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Those sitting, please stand.
Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite up for our community engagement information, Senor Lazo, as well as Sardani Mujinder Kaur.
Good evening. If you wish to address the board, please call 559-276-3150 or fill out a request form provided on the table near the entrance and submit it to the clerk of the board prior to the meeting. If you wish to speak on an item on the agenda, please do so when that item is called. If you wish to speak on an item not on the agenda, you may speak during the public comment section of the agenda. Si desea dirigirse a la mesa directiva, llame al número 559-276-3150 o complete un formulario de solicitud provisto en la mesa cerca de la entrada y preséntelo al secretario de la mesa directiva antes de la reunión. Se permitirán comentarios públicos relacionados con los temas de la agenda cuando se llame el tema. Los comentarios públicos sobre un tema que no esté en la agenda se permitirán durante la sección de comentarios públicos de la agenda. The district welcomes other language speakers to the board meetings. Anyone planning to attend and needing an interpreter for a language other than Spanish should call 559-274-4700, extension 10150, by noon on the Friday preceding the board meeting or at least 48 hours in advance of the meeting so arrangements can be made for an interpreter. El distrito da la bienvenida a las personas que hablan otros idiomas a las reuniones de la mesa directiva. Cualquier persona que planifique asistir y necesite un intérprete para un idioma que no sea español, llame al 559-274-4700, extensión 10150, el viernes antes de la reunión y antes del mediodía, o por lo menos 48 horas antes de la reunión para poder hacer los arreglos para la interpretación. Thank you.
Gracias. Next, and I apologize, Kulwant Kaur.
ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ। ਜੇਕਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬੋਰਡ ਨੂੰ ਸੰਬੋਧਿਤ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ 559-276-3150 ਤੇ ਕਾਲ ਕਰੋ ਜਾਂ ਐਂਟਰੀ ਦਰਵਾਜ਼ੇ ਦੇ ਨੇੜੇ ਟੇਬਲ ਤੇ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਗਏ ਇੱਕ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਫਾਰਮ ਨੂੰ ਭਰੋ ਅਤੇ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਇਸ ਨੂੰ ਬੋਰਡ ਦੇ ਕਲਰਕ ਕੋਲ ਜਮ੍ਹਾਂ ਕਰਵਾ ਦਿਓ। ਜੇਕਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਏਜੰਡੇ ਦੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ ਵਿਸ਼ੇ ਤੇ ਬੋਲਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਏਜੰਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਸ ਵਿਸ਼ੇ ਦੀ ਵਾਰੀ ਆਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਸਾਂਝੇ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਜੇਕਰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਏਜੰਡੇ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਵਿਸ਼ੇ ਤੇ ਬੋਲਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਏਜੰਡੇ ਦੇ ਜਨਤਕ ਟਿੱਪਣੀ ਸੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਅਜਿਹਾ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਸਾਡਾ ਜ਼ਿਲ੍ਹਾ ਬੋਰਡ ਦੀਆਂ ਮੀਟਿੰਗਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਰ ਭਾਸ਼ਾਵਾਂ ਬੋਲਣ ਵਾਲਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਜੇਕਰ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਇਸ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਵਿੱਚ ਭਾਗ ਲੈਣ ਦੀ ਯੋਜਨਾ ਬਣਾ ਰਿਹਾ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਸਪੈਨਿਸ਼ ਜਾਂ ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਤੋਂ ਇਲਾਵਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਹੋਰ ਭਾਸ਼ਾ ਦੇ ਟਰਾਂਸਲੇਟਰ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਬੋਰਡ ਦੀ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਸ਼ੁੱਕਰਵਾਰ ਨੂੰ ਦੁਪਹਿਰ ਤੱਕ ਜਾਂ ਮੀਟਿੰਗ ਤੋਂ ਘੱਟੋ ਘੱਟ 48 ਘੰਟੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ 559-274-4700 ਐਕਸਟੈਂਸ਼ਨ 10150 ਤੇ ਕਾਲ ਕਰਕੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੱਸੋ ਤਾਂ ਜੋ ਇੱਕ ਟਰਾਂਸਲੇਟਰ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਬੰਧ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾ ਸਕੇ। ਧੰਨਵਾਦ।
Dhanyavad and gracias. Thank you both. We next turn to our presentations with our school activities presentations. I'd like to invite up our ASB president of Central East High School, Chase Wilson.
Good evening, board members. My name is Chase Wilson, and I'm the Associated Student Body President at Central East High School. As we begin our new spring semester and my final semester as a Central Unified student, it's bittersweet to reflect upon all we've accomplished while also looking forward to the exciting events we still have planned. Our first major event of the semester was Winter Formal, and it was a huge success. This year's theme, Masquerade Ball, was highly requested by students, and we worked hard to bring that vision to life. The gym was beautifully decorated with stunning balloon garlands created by a leadership student and her family. One of the highlights of the night was the mirror-style photo booth, which students loved, along with the beautifully arranged dessert table, thoughtfully provided by another student's mother. After gathering feedback from attendees, it was clear that these details made a big impact. Our leadership team is beyond grateful for the support of students, families, and staff, all of whom helped create a fun and welcoming atmosphere for everyone who attended. The following week, our leadership team hosted Battle Week, with this year's theme inspired by the popular Netflix series Stranger Things. The week full of dress-up days and activities concluded with a rally that captured an eerie, mysterious vibe, which was a fun contrast from our typical high-energy rallies. This change of atmosphere brought a fresh and exciting twist to our events, making it a memorable experience for students. For Black History Month, our Black Student Union has coordinated multiple events throughout the month to educate our peers on Black history and celebrate Black culture. We've created and placed informative posters around school highlighting influential Black figures, helping to inspire and educate students as they move through campus. Looking ahead to the rest of the semester, our next major event is Culture Week, which is my favorite event of the year and is highly anticipated. Each day highlights a different culture with clubs that resonate with those cultures, hosting activities during lunch. We kick off the week with a flag parade featuring over 50 flags from different countries, proudly carried by students representing their diverse backgrounds. To further celebrate cultural diversity, the cafeteria's menu is aligned with the culture of the day, offering traditional foods. Throughout the week, we honor cultural traditions like Holi, showcase traditional dances, and provide lessons on different languages. As we continue through the semester, we're excited to keep the momentum going with even more events that students look forward to every year. Chicken Week is just around the corner, bringing a week of spirited competitions and fun activities. Of course, we're also gearing up for prom, a night that our juniors and seniors eagerly anticipate. And personally, I'm especially excited for the senior activities that will close out my high school journey and leave us all with unforgettable memories. I'm incredibly proud of what we've accomplished so far, and I'm confident that the rest of the semester will be just as impactful and memorable. Thank you for your continued support and for giving me the opportunity to share our progress and upcoming plans tonight. Before I close, I want to take a moment to recognize Central East alumni Xavier Worthy for his incredible performance during the Super Bowl. It was inspiring to see him represent Central Unified on such a grand stage, showing our students that with hard work and dedication, they too can achieve greatness. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Chase, and may you and the rest of your seniors, may your rest of your year be memorable and your senioritis minimal. So thank you. Next, we'd like to invite up Michael Maris from Central Online Homeschool.
Good evening, Central Unified Board of Trustees, President Singh Chan, and Superintendent Ms. Davis. I am Michael Maris, a senior at Central Online Homeschool. I would like to start by telling you about my story at COHS. This all started when my mom decided to move to Fresno. My mom was looking at the Central website when she saw COHS being advertised and asked me what I thought about it. I immediately thought yes. I knew that if I did online homeschooling, it would give me the stability to be in the comfort of my home while still doing school. Starting at COHS over the years, I had a group of teachers that I would like to mention. All had different styles and ways of making me love them as teachers. Starting with Miss Carlone. She was extremely comforting and understanding when she realized it was my first year. Then I had Mr. Fitzgerald, a relatable teacher because he was a younger guy and could relate to my interests. My next teacher was Miss Arroyo, who was fantastic and extremely patient. I started my senior year with Dr. Yost, who could solve any problems you came to her with. Lastly, I have Ms. Romano, who is honestly a straight shooter and straight to the point. Thank you for having me, and I'm excited to share some highlights about our school with you tonight. This year, our main goal is to provide students with opportunities to engage with school and interact socially. We've made great progress toward this goal in a variety of ways. First, through student enrichment activities. We continue to offer activities for students at all grade levels and are making adjustments to encourage more students to connect on campus. In January, we launched a photography class with 11 students learning the foundations of photography and how to use a digital 35mm camera. We also started a croquet club called Hoot and Mallet for students to meet on our new green space to enjoy friendly games and connect with peers. For our little owls, Elementary highlights. K through 5 students are enjoying a monthly hybrid family literacy night, where families share a book and participate in a fun activity together. COHS provides the books and all materials needed for the activity. Next week, families will read and hear the song A Kiss Goodnight by Richard Sherman and Floyd Norman, which is the story of Walt Disney's fireworks finales. The families will get to create their own castle and fireworks with oil pastels. To help families with math, we've made math manipulative backpacks available for all elementary students to support their lessons. We proudly share student accomplishments on social media, such as Student of the Month awards and academic recognitions. Each month, we post for unity and cultural awareness. We highlighted Black History Month in February by featuring a different historical figure each day. Please consider following us on Instagram at COHS Rising to stay updated. For our secondary highlights, we celebrated the graduation of 6 seniors and 1 junior in December. All current seniors are on track to graduate this June, and we expect another 3 juniors to graduate with them. Our Career Speakers series continues to be a success. Every month in Homeroom, we host speakers from a wide range of professions who share their journeys and advice. So far, we've heard from a PG&E lineman, a cosmetologist, a Navy pilot, the director of West Fresno City College's new healthcare center, and next month we'll welcome a speaker on auto mechanics. These talks give our 6th through 12th grade students valuable insights into different careers and the paths to success. Thank you for your time and for allowing me to share these exciting updates. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Michael, for your updates, and thank your mom for choosing Central for all those wonderful reasons. Next, we turn for our student recognition. We turn it to Assistant Superintendent Dr. Boatwright to share with us about the Peach Blossom performers.
Thank you so much. So 2 weeks ago, elementary students from across the district took turns performing at our district-wide Peach Blossom Festival. And so tonight we have some students here to share their performances with you. So we're going to start off. We have 2 students. They are 5th grade students from Biola Elementary School, Lizbeth Rodriguez and Kenya Jackson, and they're going to be here tonight performing Preamble to the Constitution of the United States of America by Ben Franklin and Company. That was fantastic. Next up, we have Cruz Meza. Cruz is a 3rd grade student from McKinley Elementary School, and Cruz is going to be performing Santa's Helper by Shel Silverstein.
Santa's Helper by Shel Silverstein. I used to be Santa's helper, but I got fired tonight. Just 'cause I broke the music box by winding the spring too tight. Just 'cause I tried all the bicycles and licked all the candy canes. Just 'cause I dropped those porcelain dolls down from the Tinker Toy crane. Just 'cause I drove the electric train so fast it jumped the rails and wiped that purple finger paint all over the sailboat sails. Just 'cause I squeezed the little stuffed dog till it gave a little stuffed yelp. Santa had the nerve to say I wasn't too much help. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Great job, Cruz. And then last up, we have Miss LeBeau's class. This is a 4th grade class from Liddell Elementary School, and they're going to be performing We're All Wonders by R.J. Palacio.
Thank you to all the parents. Thank you to all the performers and just everyone giving us a lesson as well. We now invite for our employee association highlights, we'd like to invite up our Central Unified Teachers Association President, Laura Bolton.
All right. Thank you again for having me. I have a team with me today, as you can see. So I want to introduce members of our bargaining team. We have MJ Osagueda. She's a okay. All right. Is a first grade teacher at Biola. We have Crystal Pumareo. She's a school psychologist at Pershing Pathway and Central Online Homeschool. We have Twilight Lawrence. She is a school counselor at Garza. And we have Andrea Chase. She is an SDC teacher at El Capitan. We also have Christine Flores, who's not here, who is a certificated librarian at East. So we have a varied team of people on our bargaining team, lots and lots of experience, lots of ranges of grade spans, and they're absolutely amazing. So I thought you should get to see their faces and meet them. I wanted to just quickly tell you that we are back at the bargaining table again tomorrow. And I want to thank all of the Central community that has come out tonight in support of our bargaining team. If you came out to support the bargaining team tonight, would you please stand? Thank you. All right. We have maintained proposals at the bargaining table that we believe are absolutely necessary for providing essential services to the populations of students who are the most in need of additional support. This includes support for EL, SPED, Tier 3 behavior, and TK. As always, our proposals are about supporting students and providing the most enriching, well-rounded, and safest education possible. Our proposals are about the whole child, from TK to our 18 through 22 program, and making sure their educators have what they need to be fully present for our students. If you are watching at home and wish to speak during public comments or on an item on the agenda, start calling in as soon as you see it on the screen, since there is a 30-second delay. My normal highlights, Garza's mock trial team took 2nd, and East took 5th out of 16 teams in the county competition. Garza, and I should actually point out, one of the coaches for one of those teams is here. So, yeah, I don't know where he went, but he's here. Phil Brudengraber. And so Garza also held a Welcome to Campus Night on January 23rd with a great turnout. They were able to showcase their class offerings, including AP and dual enrollment, and their co-curricular offerings, and many clubs to the community. Their dynamic choir, folklorico, and cheer teams performed as well. Pershing Continuation High School took 1st place in Division 4 of the Fresno County Academic Decathlon this last weekend. Our kids did an awesome job, and we're super excited. They're super excited about their win. Our credentialed school nurses had small wins, but little by little, one more school nurse has been provided a confidential workspace. And I know that might seem like a small thing, but it is actually very challenging at some of our school sites. School nurses continue to reduce potential medical liability for schools. All mandated screenings have been completed throughout the district. And thank you to the screening team that has come out to help. Many of them are retired nurses who come out to help out each year. And then the Social Security Fairness Act, the WEP, WEP, and GPO were repealed when that was signed. So I want to make sure that anyone who's watching knows to reach out to retirees. They need to apply for Social Security if they didn't already when they retired. And our current public education employees need to set up a My Social Security account to check out how many credits or quarters that they have. You might be surprised. I was actually surprised that I had all 40 of my quarters. The work that you do before you go into education and side jobs that you do perhaps over the summer, they might put you over that 40-unit mark to qualify for benefits. And then last Sunday, HK 8th grade had their annual pancake breakfast, where 3 generations of Central families attended. And finally, Biola's Wellness Center opened last week. I was able to attend the opening. It's an amazing space. It's beautiful. And it's going to be a fantastic place for the community to utilize. It will serve families in the Biola community and provides a space for students and families to get support from the county's All for Youth program. Thank you.
Thank you. We'd like to invite up Angie Aguirre, our California School Employees Association president. Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you. Then we'll turn now to our school reports. If we'd like to invite up our McKinley Elementary School principal, Dr. Kano.
Okay. Good evening, President Singh, Superintendent Davis, and board members. Today I'm going to do my presentation on my school so you know how we are doing. Can I get it up? Everybody? Oh, thank you. Okay. Okay, perfect. Okay, so here what I have first is our summative LPAC data for 22-23 and 23-24 school year. As you can see, our LPAC summative data went from blue, which is ideal and perfect, to red, which is not what we want. What I wanted to share with all of you was why, or not necessarily why it went down, but the numbers and how the numbers are utilized to have a better understanding of what happened. So basically what you see there is that 65.4% of our students in 22-23 school year maintain at least one level. Now, the 23-24 level, 23-24 school year, we maintain 43.4%, which in the maintaining area, we went down 22%. Now, if we look at years past, we actually increased the number of students that maintain their scores. Knowing that data and having a clear understanding of where we landed, we have put systems in place already moving forward from day one. What we're doing right now at Central Unified School District is utilizing our Family Outreach Liaison, Ms. Lorena Manriquez de Aguilera, to reach out to the families and support the families, get the families engaged with attendance. We also have a wonderful EL teacher, Ms. Nancy Carlone, who constantly goes into the classroom, supports the teachers, provides team teaching with the teachers on English language learners. We are very, very strategic this school year in working with our language tutors. Now we call them EL tutors, which are Ms. Olga Gonzalez and Ms. Margaret de la Cruz. Currently, they're pulling out groups, and we're targeting right now with that group. Those groups that are targeting are long-term English language learners. Right now, that is not on the dashboard. It will be, and it's not necessarily because they will be on the dashboard, but we really want to focus also with that group because we want them to be successful, especially as they move to 7th grade. Also, we have teachers that are part of our Multilingual Success Network, which are Ms. Joanna Alcala and Ms. Catherine Castro. They go in, they learn, as well as our vice principal and myself, and we come back and they report to the team and let them know what are the successful things that we need to do to increase our English language learners' success. Also, we have our EL students goal setting. So this school year, not only did we have our English language learners set goals for themselves, we had the whole school set goals for themselves. We also have, and we just started the LPAC Academy, and right next we have the LPAC Academy schedule. With LPAC Academy, one of the things that we decided to do was schedule it the same thing we did last year. The biggest difference this year is we focus on we targeted certain groups. So our first groups were listening, and we were just overall scores. Then as we were looking at the data, we started analyzing and taking a deeper dive. What does that mean? That means that for the reading, which is February 3rd and 4th, we took a deeper dive and regrouped the kiddos depending on the reading scores. Now, when we do the writing, those groups will be fluid and will change. Now we're going to focus on the writing scores. So they're going to be grouped according to their individual writing need, reading need, and speaking need instead of the overall score. Also, we have our ELD dropping. So we want to make sure that we are supporting our teachers and we're taking the pulse and the rigor of how ELD is taking place, and also looking into what support systems do we need to add to support our teachers. We also have, this is something that we haven't done. I'm not going to sit here or stand here and tell you it has happened, but it is already in the works. We're going to have data meetings. The data meetings, and the purpose of the data meetings is take a deeper dive again into where are our scores and have that conversation with the teachers as to what is going to happen next. If the teachers have aids in the classroom, how are they utilizing the aids in the classroom, and not only that, but what other supports or maybe PD do they need from us so we can support them. Then we also are very, very intentional and strategic as we are doing things and we're moving forward. Our iReady ELA scores and our iReady math scores from Diagnostic 1 to Diagnostic 2 increase. Again, we keep taking a deeper dive and looking at the data and continually working with our teachers and providing them support. On the next slide is all about engagements. One of the things that we have this school year, if you see the trend for our daily attendance, which is something that we're very, very closely monitoring, our daily attendance has increased from 92.4% in 22-23 to 94.30% as of January. Now, chronic absenteeism are decreasing. Part of that success is not only that we are doing something, we are celebrating the kiddos that are coming to school, but we are very strategic when we use our family outreach liaison. We call the parents, we find out what's going on. And the lens behind everything that we do is always, how can we support you? What are the things that you need as a parent to get your kid here, your student here? What do we need to support you with? The parent engagement is wonderful. We have been strategic and we have scheduled 8 Success Together classes, and I'm very happy to report that they're full. Most of the time we've had 20 to 30 parents attending those classes. They're very engaging. They're fun. I said in a couple of them is 1 week is 1 month is Mr. Vaca, our vice principal. The next month is me. So we rotate. The trainees that we have are highly engaging. We also have our parents that we also have I want to brag about our PTA team. They are amazing. They support us 100%. They're a great team. We also hold, of course, a school site council meeting, our ELAC meetings. And also talking about student engagement, we have a wonderful Tiger News that is led by Ms. Villarreal, our 5th grade teacher. The kiddos are great. They're pros at it. We also have our student council that leads a lot of our awards assemblies, a lot of assemblies that we hold. They're leading it. And then in sports, we have our girls volleyball area Division 1 league, and we are the district championships. So go McKinley. We also took 2nd place. So we're very, very proud of all the great things we're doing. We're also focusing on doing 2 anti-bullying assemblies. We did one with our famous Coach Cardell. He's doing an amazing job. He's coming back and doing another one. The second one is going to be targeted for our 3rd through 6th grade kiddos. We want them to understand it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be, surprise for everybody, I'm going to say it right here, it's going to be a glow party. So we're going to celebrate and also put in that, make sure that we are respectful to our everybody and we don't accept anti-bullying. And what do we do with that? So we're excited to do that. We are going to be having our AR reading assembly coming up very soon, and we have a lot of kids that met their AR goal. Next is our focus at McKinley Elementary is we're focusing on literacy. Again, being strategic. We have a reading lab. We have Miss Plumley, Miss Dollywell. There are 2 reading lab teachers that pull in kids as their scores are low. They come in, they pull them out, they work with them. We are also very happy to have AmeriCorps members in our site, working great with kids, doing an amazing job. And again, we have our EL teacher, Miss Nancy Carlone. We have our English language tutors, both Miss Margaret de la Cruz and Miss Olga Gonzalez. They're doing pull-out. We just started our LPAC Academy, which is working great. Again, we're taking a deeper dive and looking at how many kids are being serviced, adding more teachers so our numbers are lower. Then we'll also do a push-in support. We're using our teaching fellows that we have to support the teachers, and it's very, very strategic. We also have our teachers, Ms. Monica Brisida, Alexandra Santana, and Leticia Science. Our 1st grade teachers are part of the Letters program. Added support, we also have our math tutor. This year, we're really, really pushing in with our math tutor. They are supporting 2nd to 5th grade teachers. And then we also have our small group intervention, which is part of the teacher's daily schedule that is already built in with the intention to support our kiddos and as well as our teachers. We're doing a great job with our PLCs. We're all learning together. Great things are coming out of that. And again, we're taking a deeper dive into the data and looking and analyzing what does the data look like? What do we need to do moving forward? What are the things that we need to tweak, modify, or change to make sure our students are successful? Next, we have our accountability and continuous improvement. What you see in there are teachers. We had a PLC training, a PD. They created that paper you have in front of you, which is group 2. They were all engaged and they were working and understanding what is PLC, what are the loose ends of the PLC, what's the strong PLC, what are the components of PLC. This is just the beginning. PLC is not as simple as it looks. We're taking a deeper dive, starting with question number 1, and having a better understanding. We are all having that understanding, including myself as the school principal. We are also making sure that we are using our designated and integrated ELD strategically. We're using RAISE. We're going to be having iReady PD, because a lot of the times we have it, but we have a lot of new teachers that don't have a quite understanding of how does it work, how do you access, and how do you assign work. And I'm included because we didn't use iReady on my other side, so I want to take a deeper dive with my team. Again, PLC is working great. We're working very close with our PLC solutions tree person. She's amazing. We are also making an effort to, at least at a bare minimum, schedule 2 daily visits in the classrooms, so we can give our teachers feedback as to what is going on, and again, how do we support them. Making account for kiddos. One of the things that I'm proud to report from that we have at McKinley, we were the first school to have a book vending machine. It was great to have all the support. Miss Ballot, well, the idea started with Miss Willis, one of our third grade teachers. She ran, Miss Feliciano, our librarian, ran with the idea, brought it to my attention. I want to thank officially the Foundation for Central Schools for donating the money. We also, as a school site, put money in. Our goal is focused to teach kids to fall in love with reading, because they're reading. In order to get a ticket, they have to pass their AR test with 100%. This year, which is our first year that we are going to have our goal, we had 308 kiddos meet their AR goal, which is not easy to do. But thanks to our vending machine, they're working hard. They want to make sure that they get the gold coin to be able to get a book that they take home, and then, they read it at home. And it just, it's proud to see. It's great to see that our kiddos are striving, because if kids are not reading, then we have an issue. So that was the intent of our vending machine. And that's my presentation. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Cano. Are there any questions or comments from the board? If not, this is your second academic year, right?
Going on my second. Not done, but yes, this is my second.
That's what I remembered. You completed your first.
Yes.
Thank you for your honesty and acknowledging where there's still room for improvement. I know that can be challenging, especially presenting to us as a board, where we're demanding improvement and providing higher test scores from our students. So we appreciate you acknowledging where there's room to grow, and you really sharing that you're being more proactive. Not that you weren't, that you're being proactive, no. I should say.
Yes.
In making sure that you're providing the support to your teachers to make sure that our students are learning and progressing. So thank you. I really appreciate the information. And so if there are no questions or comments from the board, thank you again.
Thank you very much.
We move on to our next item, which is receive information on Early Literacy Supplemental Phonics Curriculum. We will be hearing from our Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, Dr. Boatwright.
Thank you so much. So I'd like to begin this item by first sharing a bit about our journey to strengthen early literacy instruction. So we know that having proficiency in early literacy is vital for future academic success. Students cannot access content if they are not skillful, strategic, proficient readers. Our current data showed that our students were experiencing significant gaps in foundational reading skills. The core curriculum for elementary students is Wonders, and although Wonders includes many effective components, we found that it lacks systematic and explicit phonics instruction. Phonics is crucial for developing strong reading skills, particularly in early education. It provides readers with essential tools to decode words, improve fluency, and enhance their comprehension skills. So we embarked on extensive work grounded in research on how students learn how to read. This work is based on the science of reading, which emphasizes phonemic awareness, fluency, vocabulary, and also comprehension. These are foundational reading skills. We brought letters professional development to Central Unified last school year, and for our new board members, LETTERS stands for Language Essentials for Teachers of Reading and Spelling. This 2-year course of study aligns to the science of reading and can be applied to any curriculum. We have 141 participants and an additional 16 administrators that are currently in training. After we identified the fact that the core curriculum for early literacy, Wonders, lacked systematic and explicit phonics instruction, and then in accordance with Board Policy 6161.1, we convened an advisory committee with teachers from kindergarten through 2nd grade. We call that advisory committee a professional consultation committee, or a PCC. This led to the early literacy pilot that we did the first semester of the school year. UFLY, which is UFLY Foundations, which is the University of Florida Literacy Institute, and 95% core phonics program were the 2 early literacy supplemental programs that we piloted. Kindergarten through 2nd grade teachers from 10 school sites piloted these programs for the fall semester. Teachers then selected their preferred supplemental early literacy curriculum. Mid-year data for early literacy is showing a positive impact in early literacy instruction and academic achievement. Year-over-year comparisons show a trend in increasing student achievement. We have an increase in students at or above grade level and a decrease in the percentage of students that are at risk. So the goal is to move them from at risk up through that continuum to where they're actually on grade level. Year-over-year comparisons have improved specifically for phonological awareness and phonics, with an increase of 5% at or above grade level and a decrease of 3% in the number of students that were at risk in phonological awareness. The numbers of students at or above grade level increased by 6%, and the number of students at risk decreased by 5% in phonics. I wanted to also share some teacher and student feedback about the early literacy pilots that we conducted during the fall. One teacher said, UFLY has given my students clear and structured instruction in phonics and phonemic awareness. I love how the program includes engaging visuals and allows me to customize lessons using the editable slides. My students are grasping the concepts more effectively than in my past 2 years of teaching. Another teacher said, I am so thankful that I was included in the Literacy PCC. I had the ability to pilot the 95 Phonics Core program at my site, which was Teague Elementary. The growth I have seen in such a short amount of time has been incredible. This is definitely one of the best decisions we've ever made. I have another teacher who said, many students started the year only being able to read 3 CVC words, and now they are reading multisyllabic words with complex spelling patterns. And then we also talked to a few students because we wanted to get their feedback. I have Mina, who said that our program is good because I learned how to sound out and spell tough words. Jasdeep said, it helps me learn and I like to learn. Emily said, I like it because you learn a lot and you get a lot of new stuff in your brain. And then Zayden said, when we do our lesson, my brain gets smarter. So tonight I'm bringing to you these 2 supplemental phonics programs for information. These are the 2 programs that were piloted in the fall, UFLY Foundations and the 95% Phonics Core. The public will have an opportunity to review these programs on February 12th and February 18th. Administration is recommending this item be added to the February 25th Board Agenda for Action. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. I also have Ying Lee here tonight. She's our Assistant Director of Literacy, who has been very instrumental in leading this work.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board on this item? Or sorry, public first. We'll turn to the board. Trustee Creel.
I apologize if I missed it, but how do we move into implementation? So I'm assuming once the board approves this, what are the next steps for implementing the curriculum? And do we anticipate, at least now, how long, do we have an estimate as to how long we anticipate we'll keep this curriculum or we'll be reevaluating at some point?
Right. So upon approval, what we'll do is we'll be setting up training for our teachers. So the plan right now is to train our teachers in kindergarten through second grade on one of the literacy programs that they select. We'll do that training during the SBAC testing window in the springtime, since those teachers are not involved in state testing. And then we will have full implementation that's set up to start at the beginning of the next school year. Now, the teachers that are currently piloting these programs, they have the option to continue using the program for the rest of the school year. We don't want something, that they're seeing success with, and then we just pull it out of the classroom. So they'll continue with those, with the program.
And I understand the financial impact. I'm looking at the quotes, and it's mostly for workbooks. Are those workbooks that we can reuse, or do we anticipate that this will come back every year for us to allocate funds to purchase any ongoing workbooks?
So for UFly foundations, you'll see that the cost is very, very low. That's mostly a program where it's printable. So there'll be allocations sent to school sites for additional paper and such copies that they need. And so the cost is really for the professional development and the training for the teachers. Now, 95% is a much higher cost. It's a program that has digital components. There's a lot more manipulatives and such that are involved. Those items, once purchased, can be used year to year. There may be costs for, like I said, photocopying, additional paper, those types of supplies. And then also if we wanted to bring the program or the vendors back in for doing any additional training or follow-up training with our staff. So what we'll do is midway through the implementation, we'll check in with them, see how they're doing, see what they need, if they require additional training and such, and then of course we'll follow our students and how they're performing academically to determine the success of the program.
Okay. And so who should staff contact if they want additional training?
So they can contact Ying Lee, who is our Assistant Director of Literacy. Okay. And then, of course, I'm always available as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Trustee Sidhu?
Yeah, I just had a couple of questions. You said there were 141 participants. Is that between the both programs?
So the 141 participants are for the letters professional development. So that's a program. We started utilizing that last year. I say it's a program. It's not really a program. It's professional development for teachers to learn how to teach reading using the science of reading components. And so with the letters training, they can apply that to any curriculum. It's not specifically for a program, but I wanted to bring that up because I really wanted to give you some background and context on sort of our journey with early literacy.
And then for the UFly and phonics core, how many participants do we have, or are we in the implementation phase? How is that?
So once approved, it will be required that every kindergarten through second teacher uses either UFly or 95. And what we've asked is that at a school site that the entire grade level utilize the same program. Our initial plan was to choose just one program, but when teachers started voting on which program they preferred, the votes were almost split equally. And so then we decided to let them choose which program they wanted to use, since we were seeing positive results with both.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Bowray. And both of them, as you shared, are like phonics sort of like heavy. Yes. I mean, this is something that I'm very excited about. I'm excited about the results that we're seeing and the trending directions.
Thank you.
Thank you. And this is just we're receiving information.
No, this needs to come back.
Okay, so are we okay with consent on this item?
Yes.
All right, so we'll have it return as consent.
Thank you.
Thank you. So we next move to superintendent and board communications, and just want to remind the board that this is an opportunity to just share any information or involvement you've had in district activities. And our later item is when we are specifically requesting information. So if there's anything any of the board would like to share, or if not, the superintendent.
Okay. Well, first off, I want to thank Dr. Boatwright, Ying, Lee, Christine Pennington, and all the individuals that they just spoke of. We've really wanted to see a breakthrough in the ceiling with early literacy. And so just to have the first semester of data change and seeing it in classrooms, when I'm in and out of classrooms, teachers are pointing out what they're using, kids are pointing it out. And to have that complement already in place, I think is critical for that foundational skill. We've been working on it with mathematics. We've talked about it and are spreading that in throughout our district. The professional development, to have this piece coming along is really critical. So thank you for that work and for your forward push on it too. Thank you. Employee of the Year event was a wonderful celebration for our employees. Congratulations to everybody that was nominated. Thank you to the Board of Trustees that were able to attend and participate alongside us. Moving forward to Fresno County will be our classified employee of the year, Shelley Saunders, principal secretary at Central Elementary School. Our certificated employee of the year, Andres Reyes, teacher at Central High School. And our administrator of the year, Raul Diaz, current principal at Roosevelt and future first principal of Calra Elementary. Thank you to our comms team and our HR department who did all the work behind the scenes. And then just a few upcoming events to draw your attention to. You may have already seen them, but I do want to mention we've got a busy week this week. The Know Your Rights workshop for families will be held Wednesday at 5:30 at the Teague Resource Center and Thursday morning at 8:15 at Biola. And it will be recorded to share with families who are unable to attend in person. And then we have our first educational partner input session. This kicks off our local control accountability plan input. And the first input session will be Thursday at 5:15 at El Capitan. And there is a way to also see that online. So those will be going out on media, both of those events. And that's all I've got. Sounds like there's maybe a question.
So from Trustee Carrillo and then Trustee Kerfan.
Yes, thank you. The Know Your Rights workshop, are we going to offer that? Are we going to offer a link via Zoom, considering that the reason for providing this is important, and probably many of the individuals who should be attending are going to fear being there in person?
Yes. So the flyer has been just posted on our social media, and it's been sent out through Parent Square since last week, as well to our families. There's a Zoom link, as well as it will be recorded. So the first one at Teague will be recorded and uploaded in multiple languages into our website that we created.
And do we have this flyer posted anywhere so that if we're getting any questions or if we want to share it with our constituents as well?
It should also be on our website, right?
Yeah, it will be on the website as well.
It will be, and so it's not there yet?
It's currently not there.
Okay. And one final question.
So it went out through Parent Square. Family outreach liaisons have had it and have been posting at school sites in multiple languages.
Okay.
And then we asked, since it's tomorrow, to do a last flash on all the social media in case somebody didn't see it on their Parent Square.
Trustee Kerfan?
I just wanted to point out that it was also shared on Facebook, the Know Your Rights flyer. And my board update. Last week, myself, Trustees Kirk and Chavez, and Superintendent Davis and County Superintendent Cantwell Kofer were all in attendance for the ribbon cutting at the Biola Wellness Center. It's really exciting to see this program being brought to Central Unified. I think it's one of maybe the only one west of the 99 that will give our students that can access it in near Biola a chance to get mental health services. I think it's also a space for English as a course for parents looking to pick up another language. So really excited to be part of this new program facility being brought to Central Unified.
Thank you so much. And just wanted to give a shout out to the Garza mock trial team. I mean, for taking, getting to the county finals and taking second place. So big shout out to all them. Next, we invite comments from the public. I just want to remind the public that anybody wishing to address the governing board on any item not on the agenda, this is the time to do so. A maximum of 20 minutes is set aside for persons wishing to address the board, with a maximum of 3 minutes per person being allowed. No portion of the speaker's allowed time may be given, assigned, relinquished, or donated to another speaker. If you wish to address the board, please call 559-276-3150. If you wish to address the board on an agenda item, please do so when that item is called. Items requiring lengthy discussion may, at the board's discretion, be scheduled as a specific agenda item at a future meeting. Speakers are requested to state their name and to address comments to the Board of Trustees. The board is governed by the Brown Act and may briefly respond to public comments but take no action except on items scheduled on the agenda. And with that, we turn to Clerk Kerfon.
President Singh, I have no comments for unscheduled communication at this time. It says number 2. Is that not for N2 on action? Oh, okay. Then, yeah. So I guess our first comment would be from Shelby Tucker. And Ms. Tucker, you'll have 3 minutes. I did not see them both on here, so I apologize.
I think that I've already been introduced, but I am Shelby Tucker. I'm a school psychologist in our district. Good evening, Board of Trustees. Some of you I haven't had the chance to speak to yet. Superintendent Davis and President Singh. I want to bring up an important issue tonight, and that issue is transparency. Mrs. Leishi Zong, a reporter from the Fresno Bee, has requested public records from the district since December 19th. Records that directly relate to special education and how we allocate our resources. The law states these records will be released within 10 days, yet here we are over 55 days later, and there are still no records. Mrs. Zhang has emailed, spoken in person with our public information officer, and sent multiple follow-up emails. No response. This is not just a minor oversight. This is a violation of the law. It raises serious concerns about the district's transparency and integrity. Many of the people who were recipients of this request are here tonight sitting before you. It does not take 55 days to remove identifiable student information from contracts, and when records are withheld, it damages the trust between the board and the community. The public deserves openness and honesty, and the district has a legal and ethical responsibility to provide these documents. So my request here tonight is that I urge you to take action to ensure the release of these documents and that they not be withheld any longer. Thank you.
President Singh, now I have no other comments on unscheduled communication.
Do we have any callers? Thank you.
Good evening, Isabel. You have 3 minutes to address the board. Please make sure to turn down the volume on your listening device so we can hear you loud and clear. Again, you have 3 minutes and your time starts now.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. My name is Isabel Hernandez. I am a teacher in the district and a Central Unified parent. I'm calling to show my support for Laura Bolton and our bargaining team. Our teachers work diligently to provide rigorous and engaging education. I know in our upper grade classes of up to 35 students, we are identifying our students who need extra support and working in small groups to provide focused and strategic lessons. We collaborate during PLCs to share ideas and create lessons that best promote student learning. At the same time, we're ensuring we're keeping all our above-level students challenged. This is no easy task, as I'm sure you're aware. Our grade-level teams are using good teaching practices by giving students choice in their learning to foster a love of all subjects, but at the same time keeping things balanced and ensuring they are preparing students for upcoming state testing by utilizing websites such as Smarter Balanced and our adopted curriculum to expose students to SBAC-like questions. During our principal meetings, we're digging into our standards and curriculum and are always trying ways to be better. There's not enough time in this phone call to acknowledge and highlight all that our teachers do to make an impact on our students' learning. I hope our board will acknowledge all that our teachers do for our students. Thank you for your time.
Board President, there are no more callers.
Thank you. And with that, we will now turn to our consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Sellers, a second by trustee Kerfan. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Those abstaining, motion carries 7-0. Thank you. We move on this evening to the action items. Our first action item is to accept gifts to the district. Assistant Superintendent Iqbal.
Good evening. We have a couple of received few donations. The first one is Justin Garza, received 2 donations. The first one is $500 from National Latino Peace Officers Association to assist with winter formal expenses. The second one is $1,000 from Sierra Challenge Express for the cross country. Rio Vista Middle School received $20,000 from an anonymous donor for the cheer club. And finally, HK Elementary School received $5,000 from the Joseph Keith Burgess Foundation for the associate student body. Administration is recommending the board accept gifts to the district.
Questions or comments from the board? Trustee Sellers?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the gifts and thank the community that made those generous donations.
We have a motion by trustee Sellers.
Second.
We have a second by trustee Sidhu. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Those abstaining, motion carries 7-0. Again, big thank you, and especially thank you to that anonymous donor. We move on to item number 2, approved district reorganization. Superintendent Davis.
Thank you. I will kick this item off and then share it with others. In brief, attached this week are updates to each of the job descriptions based on the conversations that were held when this item came for information to you. The Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources and Labor Relations has 2 adjustments to it. And they are related to, on the second page, the District Teacher Induction and Mentoring Program. It was previously labeled at BITSA, which is no longer what it is labeled. Second to that, the Director of Special Education and Support Services. Following the discussion, there was adjustment in tightening up the licensures and other requirements to include California, teaching and or pupil personnel services credential and school psychology, so some specificity of that. And then under the knowledge and abilities, there was the addition, as was requested, to have knowledge of strategies or systems to address disproportionality of historically marginalized populations. The Assistant Director for Special Education and Support Services, the adjustment is under Education Experience, bilingual Spanish preferred, and then the same adjustment made as the Director recommendation to tighten up the licensure requirement to be the California Teaching and or PPS Service Credential in School Psychology, either one of those. And then lastly, the Child Welfare and Attendance Technician job description. There was discussion, as you recall, under the Education and Experience. And so you will see that interim assistant superintendent made some adjustments to that and shows experience to be and or that either of those would, those educational and experience requirements would make a candidate eligible for this position. So those are the adjustments that were brought forward from the last discussion, and then I'd like Dr. Lopez, if I can turn it over to her to continue some of the questions that had come up.
Good evening, Board President Singh, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Davis. Tonight, I will start by reviewing our reorganizational document for administrative and teacher support under the SPED department. It was requested in our last meeting for me to bring the SPED organizational chart, which will be discussed later and separate from this item. So as you can see here, I provided the proposal number 1, which we had originally proposed in the informational meeting. And it includes the director, assistant director, the 3 program supervisors, an additional TOSA to support each of the areas for the next academic year. Proposal number 2 was suggested during that meeting, retaining the 5 program supervisors, as well as with some of the responsibilities that would lie underneath them, and continuing with the additional TOSA to provide support for teacher and classroom Tier 1 supports in each of the areas. Administration is recommending the adoption of organizational proposal number 1 with the attached SPED director and SPED assistant director job description. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do we have any comments from the public?
We do,
Clerk
President
Irfan?
Singh. So our first comment comes from Laura Bolton.
Go ahead.
Laura Bolton. So our first comment comes from 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 Laura Bolton. So our first comment comes And Ms. Bolton, you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much for, again, giving me this time. Really quick before I go into my comments about the overall reorganization, I do want to say that the assistant director job description only requiring 1 year of admin experience seems kind of concerning to me. That's not much in the way of experience as an administrator. And I think we probably need someone with a little more experience than that if they're next in line to possibly be the next director. So that's a concern for me. I want to address what I have sent to all of you, and I've spoken to Dr. Lopez about quite a bit. A handful of people and I who were concerned about some of the things in the organization chart for reorganizing our SPED department came up with an alternate proposal and reasons why. So we would like to see at minimum 4 program supervisors. We understand that 5 might be difficult to maintain. We've been struggling to maintain 5, but we think that 3 is not enough. Because we need someone on the bench. We need someone ready in the wings to step in if something happens to one of those SPED supervisors, or if they're busy, unavailable, that someone else can step in. So we think 4 would be a more appropriate number. We also would like to see that in addition to the lead nurse that we have and the district psychologist that we have, that a district counselor and a district speech language pathologist be brought in. This does not have to be a position that's paid differently. They would receive the same pay as everyone else, just like our lead nurse and our district psychologist, but they would be available to support our specialized folks like I said, SLPs and counselors who don't have someone at the district office level who they can turn to for support if they were interns or new. So we'd like to see that. They can also assist in a variety of ways with our teams and district meetings and things and compliance issues, as well as crisis situations. We think that a staff member with BCBA is necessary to support our Tier 3 students and the SPED students with difficult behaviors. It is expensive to outsource this work. It could be one of those people that are already existing, doesn't necessarily need to be a separate position, but it would be nice to have someone with that certification. It was helpful when we had someone in that position. We agree that another layer of support for our interns. Wow, that 3 minutes goes fast.
Thank you, Ms. Bolton.
Okay, I'll email what my comments were to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next comment comes from Andrea Chase. And Ms. Chase, you'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening. First, I just want to say how grateful I am to work at Central Unified. This is my 17th year, and I love that we're such a diverse community, and that while we are constantly growing, we still feel like a community in a lot of ways. When I first started 17 years ago, I was like, oh, it's a small school district that feels like a small town. Now it's a big school district that still feels small in some ways. I very much appreciate how the board, district, CUDA, CSBA, and everyone is taking a stand to support our students and protect our students in this time of fear and incredible uncertainty. I listened to the last board meeting and the comments on restructuring, and I felt like it was kind of implied in there that the restructure had been approved by the SPED task force. And while I absolutely support some of the changes and feel that they're absolutely necessary, like an assistant director and a third instructional coach, I don't think they should have different positions. They should all be instructional coaches, which I think is probably the want there. But I feel that if the proposal had been brought to the SPED task force and we'd had been able to talk it through and look at some of the concerns, that it would have been better. And even though that might not be the mandatory to pass it through the task force, or maybe not even the norm, I think it would have been a best practice. As Laura was saying, I feel that 4 program specialists is a very good number. When I started seeing the changes, I was like, I think they want 3 to go in the 3 regions, and that completely makes sense to me. 3 program specialists, 3 instructional coaches or TOSAs, but I think we have so many specialized programs that we would need a 4th, somebody to be there for the preschools or the alternate ed, or to support the non-traditional schools. So I think this should be considered, and that the board should possibly wait to act on this item until some concerns or some suggestions or some information is received from the SPED task force or other organizations. Thank you so much.
Thank you for keeping it exactly at 3 minutes. Our last comment is Shelby Tucker, and Ms. Tucker, you will have 3 minutes.
I wrote a beautiful speech, but I didn't deliver the last one well, so I'm just going to speak to you straight from the heart. This is a department that I've worked in for 10 years. This is a department that I've held 3 different positions in and that I have a deep, deep love for. I love these kids. I knew this is what I wanted to do right from the very beginning. But what I will tell you is this is a struggling department, and I don't think I have to sell that to you because I'm sure you've seen the lawsuits that come through in closed session. We have constant turnover. I have been a part of that turnover, and there's a number of reasons for that. But what I want you to think about is our directors last 2 years, our supervisors 2 to 3 years. In other districts, people retire out of these positions. These are lifelong positions people work their entire career to get to. They love them, and they stay. What we've created is a pipeline to the county office. So our administrators come here, they clear their admin credential, and they make their way over to the county office. We have to think about the why. We can play Jenga all we want with these positions, but if we don't address why we can't keep anybody in them, what good is it to play Jenga? We can create any different version of that. It doesn't matter if we can't keep anybody in any of those jobs. I ask you tonight to take a step back to meet with the SPED task force on 2/18 or send a representative. I would implore you to consider hearing the reasons why we need something different and the changes we need from the actual people who are in the trenches doing this every day. And I thank you for even taking the time to hear us and to consider that tonight. So thank you.
President Singh, I have no other comments at this time.
Do we have any callers?
Board President, there are no callers at this time.
Then with that, we open for discussion and comments from my colleagues on the board. Trustee Carrillo.
So while I hear the request that we send this back to a committee or a task force, I just caution us all, and really my colleagues on the board, that there are some management rights that we have. And I reminded you all that if there were still questions, that you direct them to our administration so that we can make a decision today, because our last meeting, there was no decision except for this to return. So I have 2 questions specific to the job descriptions. Thank you for considering my feedback and for incorporating it. I believe there was, and I don't have hard copies, I don't have my copies from the last meeting, so I apologize. Did we change the assistant director position, license, and other requirements to now also accept a pupil personnel services credential in school psychology?
Yes, we did. We adopted it.
And so, why?
To broaden our net and be able to hire for the position with the most qualified individual. And when we had the credential, it limited us to somebody with experience in the teaching field.
Okay.
If I can also add, when we look back on stability, which is something that we're aiming for within this department, we have had success in terms of the requirements of both litigation. I shouldn't say both, because I'm going to say three things: litigation, student placement, decision-making for program. From both those with certificated teaching experience and also psychology experience, specifically PPS and school psychology. So when we looked around to other models that have robust teams, those two were in common. And based on our conversation last time, maybe the net was too wide, so we tried to tighten it up with just those that are most frequently in those positions and able to conduct the required business at that level.
Okay. You said, and I'm only going to get very technical and specific because I have to trust your guys' judgment. This is not an area of expertise for me. But you said that you have experienced success when they both have teaching and...
Or.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I wanted to make
we
sure.
have had, yes.
Okay.
Either of those. We have had both historically here and when we talk to other districts about the makeup and structure of their groups. It is one or the other of those positions, typically at the helm or second to in layer.
Okay. And so you feel confident that anyone with the specialty or the licensing of the pupil personnel services credential in school psychology will have the necessary experience to be able to assist and conduct and train and provide professional development to our teachers, who are the ones who then need to deliver the instructional components of any IEP?
We both do, in looking at Dr. Lopez. And not only that, when we look at the different roles, when we're talking about some layers to the system, their expertise is going to be used in different areas. And in a director and assistant director, one of the key areas is in placement for new students coming in and handling litigation. Do you want to add to that?
And we did take into account considering a question, because they are supposed to have 3 years of experience in leading in a department. So we considered a question related to what experience do they bring to the table in professional development and meeting the needs of our teachers also in the classrooms.
Okay. And so I hope that there will be more than just one question and that it's really targeted. I think that's going to be critical, because I don't believe that we as a district, and at least in maybe one or two independent of the superintendent search, any hiring committee that I served on, where I think we've effectively created questions to actually target whether that candidate has been successful. And I think we need to be more intentional about the development of those questions to ensure that we have someone who will stay in the position, as we've heard, and those of us who have been on the board, and even maybe some of our colleagues as members of our community are aware, we've had a high turnover. And as a result of that, there are more opportunities for errors and opportunities not to deliver the most effective educational services that our students need, especially this population of students that are our most vulnerable population. Once this is approved, because we'll have to approve something, whether it's today or another time, at what point is it appropriate to receive an update as to how things are going after we've hired individuals for these positions, to get a report back of this is working, or we need to revisit, we need more positions?
So what I would suggest along with our team is that we approve option one along with the positions director and assistant director, so we can start looking for those individuals and filling our positions in order to provide services. As you have heard from some of the comments, we have currently a TOSA that is pending because they're currently serving in one of those program supervisor roles. So we would like something if we're even considering at least moving forward with the director and assistant director job description, so we can post But we highly suggest that we start moving on filling some of these critical roles.
Can I add to, I think part of your question was when could we reevaluate? And one of our discussions has been, right now she has many vacancies within that department. And so in order for her to determine next steps with that team, I would expect, as we typically do, a late fall, get through a semester. That would be next December. Every spring, we come to you if there's any sort of adjustments or improvements or increases. We take a look through the LCAP process. We take a look through process of additional funding that may be coming towards specific programs, and we bring that back to you. But I think I hear regularly from her, she's discussing it, having a full team and being able to evaluate that and then evaluate, are there holes? Is there an issue with it? She's not yet had opportunity to do, and we want to make sure we have those individuals in place.
Perhaps that's where the next visual comes in. So this is our department. It was suggested that I bring this back. So as you can see, we currently have a vacant position, Joey Reese, that has been on hold pending this reorganization. So that is vacant. We have currently Anne Franco stepping in as interim director. So that is a vacancy. Those positions are currently, those sites are currently distributed among 2 program supervisors, Laco and Matthew Lopez. So we need support, and this is where we are asking for us to consider approving the positions tonight so we can move forward in filling some of the vacancies.
Okay, thank you. I know my colleagues have some questions, but I do want to entertain a motion to approve with a condition. And so I won't make it just yet so that we can have further discussion. And if we want to add additional conditions, but as one of the conditions that we revisit this within 6 months, no more than a year after we've hired all positions, to evaluate how is it working, and if we need to add additional positions, that we get back a plan with the financial components so that, again, we as a board, that's the authority we have to allocate additional funds and ensure that you have enough support for that program. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Chavez?
Thank you, Trustee Carrillo, for that, because that actually sets up for what I wanted to discuss. So this week, I just wanted to make sure that it's clear to my fellow board members as well as the community. I had multiple messages from various teachers, and I want to thank those individuals for taking the time to compose such thoughtful messages. I do appreciate when people give us their insight from the campuses themselves. I myself am a teacher. I will always see myself as a teacher, so I really do appreciate that insight. So from what I could gather, because I'm the new kid in a lot of ways, there just seems to be a huge disconnect, and I can't figure that out. I'm just fairly new to my position, but based on the limited information I gathered from the community just in my time this week, and it was from multiple sources, so I won't say that here. It just seems like somehow there's something that administration wants, and somehow there's something that we're hearing from the SPED department themselves, and finding that middle ground. I'm hesitant to say, yes, this is the right thing, but what you're saying to me, Trustee Carrillo, actually makes sense, that if in fact we do approve some positions, we're going to have to start somewhere, but I really want to strongly make sure that we can come back and have that condition that we can continue to reevaluate this, because it seems that it's taken time for us to get in this position. It's going to take time for us to get out of this position. And so I'm hoping that we can actively somehow build in those safeguards where we can continually check in on this issue to see, are we improving? Did this make a difference? Are we seeing some growth? Are we having more retention of our staff? That's deeply concerning that we've had so much turnover. Because obviously coming from, for those of you who don't know, I come from the mental health world. I was an MFT. I did practice, and I worked with young people with disabilities. So I know how disruptive it is when we continually have new faces that keep coming through there. It's extremely harmful to our young people. So my question to you, Trustee Carrillo, is how do we build that in? Is it a 6 month? I don't know how frequently we can check in. This is me asking the question because I don't know.
We would make a motion And so it's part of our record, which is why it's important that the motion we make, we clearly articulate what it is that we want. That's why I also asked what is reasonable. And I do think that the first step would be we got to hire people. And then within 6 months to no more than a year is what I would propose. If you have a different period of time, then I would just say propose that and let's have a discussion with our admin, because I also don't want to set them up to be 3 months and they can't really evaluate. And now, quite frankly, we've wasted time in having them prepare this report, bring it to us, and we still don't have anything to effectively say, we want another position and it's going to cost us X amount of money. So we would make a motion and including specifically what we want back and when we want it back.
Just to finish up my thought, so I think the 6 months would be good, but I would like to make it part of the condition that we do participate in that task force and at the very least have some sort of participation between hearing from, so administration and our community, our teachers need to actually have something built into our motion where we're having that consistent, because I just feel like there's not communication happening there. I could be making presumptions, but this is kind of something, so if we could build that in where it's structured so we know that those meetings have taken place and that maybe even somebody from the board could be present so we could actually participate in that. I don't know if that's possible.
I think Superintendent Davis, did you want to add a point to this matter? And then Trustee Sidhu, you'll be next.
So in thinking through the analysis of it, I think we first assumed that the positions wouldn't fill or begin until July 1. So what we're talking about is to recruit now through and get people in place. And then whatever that motion is, the additional thing that we do is we go back and we place it in that advanced planning calendar that's attached to every board meeting so that we too know what's coming up in terms of a commitment of evaluating something. So as different topics have come up or you've brought up, we'd like a report back at this point in time. Yes, it's in the motion. It's also in that calendar so that we make sure we keep it in front of us.
Trustee Sidhu and then Trustee Sellers.
Yes, quick question. I just wanted to ask what has been the role of the SPED task force during this process? If you can enlighten them.
So the SPED task force discusses concerns arising in the classrooms as well as at our school sites. We don't provide organizational documents to get feedback. However, feedback presented there does guide us to take items to cabinet for discussion around support for teachers that may have higher numbers of students, that may need a ratio adjustment. We look at some of the feedback I discussed last time was the TOSA position, not feedback on the organizational, and that is what I explained. So the task force had expressed a need for more coaching or teacher on special assignment support for our special education classroom. So that was considered when we thought of the regional approach. So yeah, if that answers your question.
Okay, and I just wanted to echo what Trustee Chavez was saying, that I'm in agreement with what she's saying about setting up where we can reevaluate in about 6 months and see where that heads to.
Trustee Sellers?
To the previous slide.
I didn't realize I switched it, sorry.
I want to confirm, how many vacant program supervisor positions do we have? Because I see 4 names there.
So right now, the first one is vacant. We have Jennifer Jones that we really highly suggest we start moving her towards a TOSA position. We have duties for her to start fulfilling, especially with our pre-K numbers coming in right now of evaluations. And Anne Franco is currently stepping in as interim director. So those sites that you see underneath are currently spread between LACO, Mr. Lopez, and Jennifer Jones, who will be transitioning to the TOSA position.
Can I add a clarification? Anne Franco's position is not vacant.
No.
It's just on pause. Mm-hmm. So she's fulfilling a role as interim, but her position isn't vacant to be advertised. Mm-hmm. So there's 3 positions that have individuals attached to them. Mm-hmm. And the 2, as she described, that are one you already approved over a TOSA move, and one is there isn't anybody in it right now.
Okay. I just wanted to go back to the job description for the assistant director. we've seen in multiple other incidents throughout the district where we have a lot of challenges put on new administrators, and we're not exactly setting them up for success. I think that because we currently do not have a permanent director, and nor do we have an assistant director, it's important and vital that whoever we select and hire for these positions, if we do move forward with the assistant, have experience and are capable of hitting the ground running, so to speak, from day one to be most effective. Again, we've seen it in other areas where it's a challenge because I'm a new administrator. I'm trying to learn my role and manage everything. If there's support amongst the other board members, I would like to see that adjusted to a minimum of 2 years experience so that we're ensuring that we're getting a experienced administrator in that spot.
So we'll take motions, but
yeah,
definitely have noted the.
If there's any need for discussion on that, I also think that I'm a firefighter. I don't know the SPED world, so I'm going to be leaning on and trusting the people who are there every day, putting in the hard work, making those connections with the community. I think it's vital that we get that feedback from the boots on the ground, so to speak, but as well as the people who we're going to task with running this program. So I'm okay with holding off and pausing on creating new positions until we get that positive feedback and direction from the folks who are actually doing the work, saying this is what we need, this is how we can implement it, and this is how we can be most effective and best to the community. So I don't know if anyone else has similar thoughts on that, but I do feel it's important that we move forward with the director position as well as the assistant director so we can continue to build that team.
Thank you, Trustee Kerfan.
Thank you, President Singh. A couple questions first. With regards to BCBA, which I saw in a counterproposal from CUDA, they would like to see that kind of position, and I don't fully understand the role of a BCBA social worker. How many staff or how many cases do we have right now that require this service in the district?
So we currently do not. I think this was attached to a specific program in the past or services that we received from ACES. We currently did not choose to go through ACES, which required the BCBA, if that is what you're asking. We chose Emerges, which doesn't require a BCBA oversight because they provide the training to their staff.
Mm-hmm. So we're contracting out for this service currently?
No, we are not. We are choosing not to go through oh gosh, I may need Franco here, or I may take your question, but there's a specific position that ACES provided that required a BCBA. Emerges doesn't have that position. It has a different position that doesn't require BCBA oversight.
Okay. My understanding is that at least in the previous fiscal year, we had over a dozen cases, dozen different students that required this service. So I was wondering if it had gone up or gone down.
Those students are currently being serviced through a different provider with different services that doesn't require a BCBA certification.
I see. Okay. And
I believe it was RBTs that ACES provided, which required that.
Okay. And then with regards to the TOSA positions on the proposed org chart, would the TOSAs and instructional coaches be used to substitute at sites?
That is not their primary role and function. The idea is that they support our teachers with classroom supports, teach, being able to co-teach if needed, coach our teachers, provide services. Case management is another one because we do experience absences and we have to make sure we're compliant with those case management caseloads. So they provide that.
So it's not their primary role, but they could be used for that.
They could be used because at the end of the day, we all, including myself, like if something's going on and our kids are not being provided with services, we're going to step in to those roles to serve our kids.
I see. Okay. And then, okay, I will pause my other questions there, but like others have said, we're not experts in special education. Our admin team knows how to supervise departments, but the experts in special education are the educators in that department. What I've noticed in my 2 years on the board is that we have very high turnover in our supervisory roles in the SPED department and burnout through the entire department at a higher rate than any other department in the district. I'm interested in long-term solutions to retain and recruit staff. Yes, it's our jurisdiction as the board to approve how we want to organize this department. I'm just concerned that we didn't consult with the SPED task force when drafting it, because oftentimes just hearing people out, making them feel heard, is enough to get people on board with controversial changes.
Do you mind if I suggest something?
Sure.
If we are okay at keeping it the way it is with a 5 for now, because we're evaluating, but I really would like us to then consider the director and assistant director, so it allows us to start the hiring process with that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Dr. Lopez, I mean, I think everyone is in agreement about director and assistant superintendent. I think it's the rest of the department there seems to be some debate on, which is fine. We'll make the final decision. But yeah, I'm okay with approving the director and assistant director now with Trustee Sellers' amendment.
So just to continue the conversation, we have some motions that will be entertained soon. I think. Sorry, did you complete?
Yeah,
that's
enough.
Sure, Trustee Crefon. I think Trustee Carrillo, you had an additional question or a comment?
Just a comment. I just want us to remember, Dr. Lopez, you've been with us for a year and a half, maybe a year?
No, not a year.
Not even a year, right?
Started in May.
Okay, so I do want us, just as a reminder, to have some grace. You're not telling us to, but I do want to just have some grace that her position is new, was one that the previous board created, and assigning her the special education department is also a new assignment. And so I also want to give her some grace and some opportunity to determine what is successful and what isn't. I also want to caution us, and again, that I don't oppose getting feedback from any of the other positions in the department, but ultimately decisions about reorganization and structure and the positions is ultimately administration's right to do so. And if you have questions about what the bargaining unit's responsibilities or contractual rights, I encourage you to read the CUDA CBA agreement. But I just wanted to just remind us all and just know that I remember and I know that you haven't been with our district long enough or with that department. And so when we're talking about, for those of us that have been on the board for 6 years or 2 years, we know the history and we've heard some of the cases. You may not, you're learning about them. So I understand and I appreciate your willingness to hear us and to accept some of the critiques that aren't necessarily towards you, since this is not something that you've been with us long enough to own. So thank you.
If I can just say something to that. So I appreciate that comment. And I do want us to remember that I haven't had a chance to evaluate it fully. I have not had a full team. So I think we got to remember that. If I had some feedback on some of these positions to take back to our task force and say, hey, after seeing it run for a year with all these positions filled, this is what I would suggest. What do you guys think? It would be great. But I have not had a full team for me to be able to do that. So do I look forward to having some positions filled and start seeing how effective those are? Yes.
Trustee Crefon?
If I can just speak to that, Dr. Lopez, not critiquing your job. I understand that you're new, and for all I've been able to say, you're doing a fine job. It's just what I have noticed in my time, both when you've been with the district and before, and this is not a knock on you, our SPED department seems to have really high rates of burnout at every level, from our entry-level SPED teachers to our program supervisors. So there is, something at its core that is hurting our staff, and this is a specialized field dealing with specialized students, and we want to make sure that we are doing what we can to create a welcoming and supportive department for our staff, so they don't feel like they have to either leave to go in the private sector or to a different district, or hey, I've been here for just long enough to go to the county and get somewhere a little bit cozier. We want to make sure that this is a great place for our staff too, because we need to serve our students. So, again, not a knock to you, just want to be intentional with our long-term goal of addressing this department.
Thank you to all my colleagues. I just wanted to kind of also share some thoughts. I think Dr. Lopez, to your team, to make sure we have a full team, I just also hope that the department itself is seeking to have a full team, because I've been part of certain conversations where that didn't always feel like the case. I know there have been some motions that have been presented. I guess the one that seemed at least the lowest hanging was the one by Trustee Sellers. And then we can kind of move up to the larger one. So, which was an additional year on the assistant superintendent position. I'll take the assistant director. Oh, sorry, assistant director position. My apologies. To have that 2 years. I'm just recapping some of the motions, and then we'll take a motion, at least the ones that I noted. Trustee Kerfan specifically, I think, was interested in disaggregating the organization, but moving forward with the positions. And Trustee Carrillo was interested in moving forward with the presentation with the addendum to have this returned to us after a 6-month or 12-month evaluation period.
And Trustee Singh, my motion would only be if the board is interested in having further discussion about the rest of the department, but I think everyone in the district is in alignment that we want to get this director and assistant director position ready to go. I'm not sure where the rest of the board is on that.
So at this point, if there's no other further questions, then we'll actually take motions. Trustee Carrillo.
So I would propose, I have a question first. Do we have any concerns with increasing the administrative experience for the assistant director?
Well, just a couple of comments, and to respond here. I always have concern when we raise the minimum qualifications. I'm all in favor of getting the most qualified people to do these jobs. Special ed is tough work. We don't have people beating down our doors to do this work. And although we can increase the minimum to 2, just understand we're narrowing it a little bit. The reason for 1 was minimum. That just means you can get potentially screened in. Then we still need to see who best meets the qualifications. So that's why we write them this way. Now, we can do it in 2, and perhaps it'll all work out, but I just think it's important to manage expectations. If we could have filled the director position job, we would have, right? So we have an interim because likely July 1 is the earliest we're going to fill these jobs. So we just need to be cognizant of that, but we can go with 2 if that's the board's desire. Just understand, it's just one more thing we need to look at when we screen.
Thank you. That was my concern as well. Does that change your mind at all?
No.
What's the consensus?
Agree with Trustee Sellers.
Same.
Do you have a motion?
I will make a motion to amend the assistant director position to have a 2-year requirement, or 2 years of experience as a requirement.
Second.
So we have a motion by Trustee Sellers to change the job description on the assistant director's position, making the minimum qualification to change from 1 year to 2 years. We have a motion by Trustee Sellers and a second by Trustee Kerfan.
Point of clarification, and you're accepting all the other proposed changes to the job description?
Do you have a problem with other changes to the job description?
No, my changes were adopted or included. So
I have no problem with your amendments either.
No, just the only amendment was for the years of experience.
Okay.
So we have a motion by Trustee Saunders, second by Trustee Kirfan. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Those abstaining. So that motion carries 7-0.
I move to approve the reorganization of the Special Education Department and to require an update to the board no later than January 1st, 2026. That includes feedback from the department employees.
Point of clarification.
Trustee Kirfan?
The feedback from district employees, would that be through the SPED task force or some other more nebulous group?
My proposed motion would leave it up to administration to obtain feedback and present it to us. I would suggest that administration consider the feedback and the discussion by this board. Otherwise, you can expect what the board will respond. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we have now we have a motion by Trustee Carrillo, a second by Trustee Kirk. Those in favor, please say aye.
Sorry, we had further discussion. Trustee Sellers.
Sorry, yes, Trustee Sellers.
With the three of the five positions staffed, is there any difficulty later on to reestablish those positions, or would it be a possibility to just continue to operate with five positions, leaving two of them vacant, so that once we have these further discussions, it's much easier just to say, you know what, we need more help. Let's find some people who are qualified for these positions, or to have to go through the process of having a presentation brought back to the board that we need to increase, this is the recommendation, and so forth. I'm curious if it's easier just to leave it as five.
Can you share, Superintendent Davis?
The position already exists, so bringing back a job description and the discussion for that wouldn't be necessary, but of course we'd have a conversation with you as we do anytime we're going to discuss budgeting for growth.
Just clarification though, those are five funded positions, right? We would only be spending the salaries of three for the next year?
I think you would just have to let me know which proposal was it your proposal that you're discussing? Or?
It was your
We would close the position number for two of the positions, and if they were going to be brought back, we would have to bring them back to you and identify the budget we would use to reopen those. That's our process. We wouldn't keep two on the books and withhold those funds from going somewhere else to serve kids. That money would, Amir would get the position numbers closed. But again, it's not a new job description. So the process to doing that work is something that we've done with you numerous times for other positions.
Okay, well, then I go back to my original concern that if it was too much work for six people to manage, reclassifying or retitling things and reducing staff to five, I think is not going to be more efficient. So I wouldn't support that.
Trustee Chavez?
I wanted to go to the motion that was just made. I just think it is too long for us to wait till January for an update. I mean, it's almost a full year. We're in February. And given the fact that I'm hesitant. I don't feel comfortable necessarily with the way the reorganization stands right now. I just really feel like we need to have a sooner date than that. I would like to at least see us revisit it in the fall semester at some point. I mean, we need to have it before next calendar year. That would be kind of my suggestion. I don't know how formal that becomes, but it obviously, that's just too long for us to, as a board, not hear back about what is going on with this, to me.
So I'm happy to amend if Trustee Kirk will accept the amendment. The only reason I said January is because I think I heard Superintendent Davis say that the jobs would be open July 1st. And so that gives them at least 6 months to bring it back no later than January 1st, which means they have to bring it back in December.
I was wondering about the
period.
reorganization more than I was. Okay, so yeah, okay.
It's a reorganization. So it gives them 6 months to hire and evaluate, get feedback from employees, and bring it back.
It just still feels too long to me.
Okay, what do you propose?
I mean, what seems reasonable? I understand that we're recruiting positions. I'm looking at the overall. What's happening to me is that the board or administration is not communicating with this task force. Like, there's a definite disconnect, and so if we wait a whole nother, we're not moving in the right direction. We're just trusting that administration is going to report to us exactly what is going on, and obviously, unless we have some sort of structure into that, it hasn't happened so far. So how can I trust that it's going to happen in the future? So I would say, at the very least, I would want to at least hear back in potentially September or October.
I'm amenable to October.
Okay.
Trustee Kirk?
Yes, that's
fine. Okay. So I will amend my motion to say, I move to approve the reorganization of the special education department and an update no later than October 2025 regarding status of the reorganization with feedback obtained from the employees in the department. Trustee Kirk has accepted the amendment, and so I would request a vote.
And
President Singh?
Superintendent Davis had a clarifying question about the motion.
Just to confirm, the reorganization you're recommending is the one Dr. Lopez brought forward, recommendation 1.
Correct.
Thank you.
Trustee Kerfan?
Thank you, President Singh. Trustee Carrillo, there's 2 things that I would need to feel comfortable approving this. One, the direction that the administration meet with some form of staff on feedback, and hope that they listen to what our feedback on meet with the special education task force. I don't want to have to come back in October and say, why didn't we speak with the group that is focused on this department? I would prefer we just give direction now and save us the headache in October. Just speak with the task force. We're getting feedback. We don't have to take their recommendations, but we have to get their feedback. The second thing is, when it comes to the program supervisors, currently we have 5 positions, but only 3 are filled, and it seems very clear to me that those 3 are overworked. So I wouldn't feel comfortable with 3. Kuda seems to be okay with cutting one of those positions, so I'm okay with cutting 1, but I feel that for this department to be healthy, we either need 4 positions or we need one of these other suggestions they came with in order to feel comfortable. So I would support maybe having just 4 program supervisors, and come October we can renegotiate or figure out a better way to format this department.
So as I'm understanding, so either Trustee Carrillo can amend that, and if she doesn't, then you would have to make a separate motion for that proposal.
I'm not going to amend my motion. I would recommend that we vote, and if it doesn't carry, then a new motion. Otherwise, you have to have if you make another motion, that needs to be voted on, and then still vote on the first motion.
So now we'll take a vote. We have a motion by Trustee Carrillo, a second by Trustee Kirk. Again, it is to approve the recommendation as provided by administration. We have previously already changed the assistant director position, and in addition to, we are adding an October 2025 date to reevaluate this. Those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
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 Those abstaining. So motion does not carry. 1-5-1.
So, President Singh, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to motion that we approve the district's sorry, a little bit stutter. We approve the district's reorganization of the special ed department, with the exception that, with the amendment that we go from, instead of 3 program supervisors to 4, and that the district come back to us with an update after consulting with meeting with, I was almost like consult, meet with the special ed task force beforehand and come back to us in October with this information.
So just to make sure, you were asking for an additional program supervisor?
Yes, and in that October meeting, when it's presented to us, we'll have the feedback on whether we still need that program supervisor or whether we can replace that with a different position.
Second.
There's a point of clarification that just Superintendent Davis would like to make, but I have noted that we have a motion by Trustee Kerfan and a second by Trustee Sellers.
So the motion, as I understand it, is to bring an update back in October. Can you clarify the statement you made about then removing the person from the position in October if they just start in July?
So
we do a contract for a year, so that would be.
I will clarify then. We'll have the information on whether we need, instead of removing a position, to if we need to expand or alter the special education department. We'll say alter to give administration more leeway in reorganization.
Okay, so we have a motion by Trustee Kerfan to increase the supervisors from 3 to 4, with to get an update in October of how that department is working, and we have a second by Trustee Sellers.
And to have to have received feedback from the special ed task force.
Thank you. Those in favor? Oh, sorry, Trustee Kirk.
I'm sorry, just for clarification. So we're looking at the proposals.
Mm-hmm.
Which proposal are we? It's none of them. It's kind of a combination between 1 and 2.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
So we have a motion by Trustee Kerfan, a second by Trustee Sellers. Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Nay. And those abstaining? So motion carries 5-2.
President Singh, I believe we still need to approve the job description for the Human Resources Assistant Superintendent and the Child Welfare and Attendance. And so with that, I will move to approve the job descriptions for the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources and the Child Welfare and Attendance job description.
Second.
We have a motion by Trustee Carrillo, a second by Trustee Kerfan on the acceptance of the job descriptions for the 2 positions named. Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Those abstaining, motion carries 7-0. Thank you. We move on to item number 3, to approve Central High School football equipment quote from BSN Sports. Director Hightower.
Good evening. On June 25th, 2024, the board approved using Public Code Section 20118, which allows school districts to use cooperative bids secured by other public agencies to purchase materials and supplies. Tonight, I bring to you an item to purchase football equipment for Central High School for the upcoming sports season in the fall. Central High will receive new football equipment for both junior varsity and varsity programs. The cost of the football equipment is $159,519.16. The equipment will be purchased through BSN Sports using an Omni purchasing contract. Administration is recommending this item be approved after any questions you may have.
Thank you, Director Hightower. Questions or comments from the board? Trustee Sellers?
Just real quick question. Will this be all the equipment needed for football, or will there be additional?
That's all the equipment for football.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
If no other questions or comments, do I have a motion?
I move to approve the Central High School football equipment quote.
We have a motion by Trustee Carrillo, a second by Trustee Sellers. Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Those abstaining, motion carries 6-0 with Trustee Kerfan absent. We move on to item number 7, approve the use of Collegian Stadium by Fresno County Boys and Girls Club. Director Rodriguez.
Thank you, Board President and Board of Trustees and Superintendent Davis.
For your approval is the facility use request that my department received for the use of Darren Collegiate Stadium by the Girls and Boys Clubs of Fresno County for the City-County All-Star Football Game. The reason why this item comes before the board for approval is because there is a district policy regarding the use of the Darren Collegiate Stadium for outside organizations. The Boys and Girls Club of Fresno County has been serving youth and their families throughout Fresno County. Formed in 1949, the clubs serve over 4,000 children and teens. All proceeds from this event will go to benefit the Boys and Girls Club. Now a little bit about the All-Star Football Game. Historically, that game has been played since 1955. Last year, the game was played at McLean Stadium in Fresno. The game makes possible for our high school athletes who have played against each other for the past 4 years to play side by side, creating a shared camaraderie. Now, 70 years later, high school seniors continue to be honored when selected to play in what has become the longest running high school all-star football game in California. So administration is recommending board approval on this item, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Director Rodriguez. Trustee Creel?
And there's no conflict with any of your programs?
No,
okay.
There is not.
And I apologize if I missed it. Our students are also participating in this event, right?
Yes, they are.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Trustee Carrillo, a second by Trustee Sidhu. Those in favor, please say aye.
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 Those opposed, nay. Those abstaining. Motion carries 6-0 with Trustee Kerfan absent. Thank you, Director Rodriguez. We move to our information items. Our first information item is to receive information regarding comprehensive school safety plans. Supervisor Smith.
All right. Good evening, President Singh, members of the board, and Superintendent Davis. I am bringing for information tonight the school site comprehensive safety plans and emergency procedure documents for your annual review. These documents are maintained electronically, and the template is updated on a yearly basis based on California Department of Education guidance. The law requires that updates and adoption of the plans are completed by March 1st. In addition to the maintenance and annual update of these documents, our sites review their plan at the beginning of the school year as well as upon returning from winter break and participate in regularly conducted drills and training to ensure preparedness and competency in the event of an emergency. All of our sites follow a monitored drill schedule, performing monthly fire drills, 2 lockdown drills per semester, and 1 drop, cover, and hold drill per semester. In addition, once a year, every site is required to undergo active shooter training provided by either the Fresno County Sheriff's Department or the Fresno Police Department. Once the yearly update is complete, the plans are reviewed and approved by each site's school site council, and then signed by the site principal and school site council chairperson prior to coming to the board for review and approval. I would like to thank our site administration for completing and communicating the safety plans with their respective staff members. Administration recommends that this item be placed on the February 25th agenda for action, and I am happy to answer any questions.
Questions or comments from the board? Trustee Sellers?
Thank you. As I read through these plans and I see certain staff members are assigned certain job duties, how are we ensuring that those members are receiving the training and adequate training?
That is part of the annual review process. So in September and August of every year, they are reviewing that to see who is in those roles, and they're reviewing at staff meetings and practice opportunities to make sure that everyone knows what the roles and responsibilities are aligned with that.
Okay, so the individual that's receiving that training, they're signing somewhere saying, I understand and I have been trained, and these are the expectations of what I'm going to be doing.
Yes, and when we review who those assignments are and what that looks like at each site, there's actually a log kept too of who's able to participate in those meetings to make sure that they're getting that annual review and that training.
Okay, so each site is responsible for providing that training. It's not somebody from the district or an outside contractor?
The annual updates are done at the site level.
Okay. Is that something that would be too difficult to provide the documentation that for each site that the people who have signed and the roster that I've received this training and I understand?
We could look into that. What typically happens is there is like attendance kept at each meeting, so we know the meetings that have been provided at the site and who attended, and there's also additional makeup opportunities that's provided to make sure that the site, or to make sure that those staff members have received that.
Okay. My concerns are that things get pencil whipped, that, hey, we sat down for a minute real quick and talked about, yeah, this is what you got to do. Just sign this and we can be done. And not thoroughly understanding the responsibilities that they're tasked with.
We can look into that and
Okay.
get you some more information.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
If no other question, I'll have this one returned under action just because of the length and if people want to actually look at specific schools and provide any insight. So
It's quite a lot of information. Understood.
Absolutely. Thank you, Supervisor Smith, and we'll have this item returned under action at our next board meeting.
Great, thank you.
We move on to item number 2, receive information regarding 2025 ballot for CSBA Delegate Assembly. Superintendent Davis.
Thank you. This is the time, just really a placeholder for you to bring back to the next meeting so that you can, as a board, select up to 4 nominees. And you'll see that there are 4 individuals, one of which is our very own Trustee Kerfan, but they have submitted to be on the Delegate Assembly. So do recommend this return to the next meeting for your action.
Trustee Kerfan.
Thank you, President Singh. So are there 4 vacant positions then for the CSBA delegates?
Yes, there are.
Okay. Well, I sure hope my board supports me on this one. But yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your desire to serve. If there's no concerns, can we have this returned under consent? Or does this have to be voted upon? This has to be voted upon. I'm getting
Yes, because we're actually, you would have to say who we are nominating, whether it be 1 or the 4.
Thank you, Secretary
You're
Lopez.
welcome.
So we'll have this item returned at our next board meeting under action. We move on to item number 3, receive information regarding 24-25 roof repair project at Central East High School. Director Bott.
All right. Good evening, Board President Singh, Superintendent Davis, and board members. The board approved the 2024-2025 deferred maintenance plan back on October 10th of 2024. Part of that plan was to repair the roofs at Central East High School. On December 10th, the board approved the purchase of roofing materials for Central East High School. The material will be used to repair the roofs, the roofs on buildings 300, 1100, and 1200. We have put out bid RFP number 2425-1402 for the labor portion of the repair. The current bid is posted and will be closing on February 20th, 2025. The project bids will be opened on February 20th, and the bid openings will be returned to the board for approval. The cost of the repair will be brought at the future board meeting. Administration is recommending this item be placed on the March 11th board item for action. After answer any questions the board may have.
Questions or comments from the board? Then we can, if there's no concerns, we'll have this return under consent at the March 11th board meeting. Thank you, Director Bott. We move on to item number 4, receive information regarding outdoor furniture proposal for Jeswanson Colorado Elementary School. Director Rodriguez.
Thank you again, Board President. For your information tonight is a media education furniture proposal for the outdoor furniture for Jeswanson Colorado Elementary School. As a reminder, I brought forward the proposal for classroom furniture and mentioned that the outdoor furniture proposal was for the school was not included. The furniture is needed for the new site, and the vendor will not order the furniture until a purchase order is issued. The administration is recommending that this item return on February 25th, 2025 for action. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have on this item.
Thank you, Director Bott. Questions or concerns from the board? Trustee Carrillo?
This is the vendor we've used in the past, right?
Correct.
Do we typically, let me ask this instead. Did we ensure that this is the best quote we're getting for our supplies?
I believe, well, let me walk this back. So when you look at the breakdown on the attached, it gives you what the list price is and then the breakdown. And I think that they're kind of substantial discounts that we're actually getting.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
If no other questions or concerns, we can have this returned under consent at our February 25th meeting. Thank you, Director Rodriguez. We move on to item number 5, receive information regarding change order bid package SB 08, just once in Colorado Elementary School. Director Rodriguez.
Thank you again. For information tonight are change orders for the multi-prime bid package 8, and that's the electrical package for the elementary school, and the attachment of the itemized summary for Jaswat Singh Caldera Elementary School project for your review. The increase to the project is due to the impacts implemented after this project was originally bid. Almost every construction project encounters conditions that require a change to be made to the original contract, and changes may be for a number of reasons, including newly discovered conditions, design omissions and errors, or changes in the scope of work. Staff has reviewed and recommends that this item return to the board on February 25th, 2025 for board action. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have on this item.
Trustee Carrillo and then Trustee Sellers.
So of the reasons that you stated, what is the basis for this change order?
It's an omission.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Sellers.
I was just curious if you can provide a little more information about what the Extron system is.
So the Extron system is it's a teaching enhancement tool because we're using interactive panels, displays, boards that it's an enhancement for instruction. So we put those over at Justin Garza. We did an older version at Tilly Elementary School when we did the build out there, and we're implementing that system here at this elementary school.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
If there are no objections, we can have this returned under consent. Thank you. We move on to item number 6, receive information regarding the sale and disposal of surplus obsolete district property. Assistant Superintendent Iqbal.
Attached is the list of all the surplus and obsolete item that the district needs to dispose of. Administration is recommending the item be placed on February 25th, 2025 board agenda item for action. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions or comments from the board on any item? Then with that, we'll have this return under consent as well.
I think it has to be action.
Oh, sorry, you're right. It does have to be action. Thank you. Trustee Griffon?
Thank you, President Singh. So I see that we're getting rid of our 2023 Chromebooks. Can we get an explanation as to why we're disposing of those?
I can note the question. I'll get back to you.
Thank you, because those are fairly new. No further questions.
Good catch. Thank you. We move on now to advanced planning.
The calendar is checked. Nothing to change.
Thank you. We move on to item Q, item Q, additional information and closing comments. And this is where if there's any additional information that's being sought for any of the board members to ask. Trustee Kirk?
About any item?
Sure.
Just from tonight or?
No, if there's additional information you'd like.
The stealth contract, we were provided a link to it and the link does not work. Is it possible for us to get that contract to review? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And with that, our next regular board meeting will be Tuesday, February 25th, 2025, here in this room at the district office, room 13, 6 p.m. for closed session, 7 p.m. for the public. And we will adjourn back to closed session. Thank you.